reminded me of the Sunil Gavaskar incident at the Melbourne Cricket Ground.
Dennis Lilly.
Dennis Lilly.
Come.
Yes, he took Chetan Chauhan with him. It was only the manager then that who came down and said you can't do it. And I think if you remember, Pakistan under Inzamamul Haq refused to take the field at the Oval, and then that game was forfeited. It cost them a lot. So all of these, I mean, at that time, heat of the moment, stupid things can happen. But Delhi will thank their lucky stars that they didn't come off, because then you would have sanctions. Even though we've all agreed that the ball was a no ball. Okay, agreed upon. But that's something now for people to look at. If you had got the players off and refused to
would have
play,
been an even bigger issue.
Then it would have been bigger issue. There could have been bans. There could have been sanctions against the Delhi Capital. Some serious steps taken against the captain. You couldn't have done that. And also, Praveen Ambre, who's one of the support staff member, I know Rishabh Pants sent him, but he also had no business to be coming on the field. If you remember, the great Thala Dhoni also came in for criticism for walking onto the field. And similarly, if Praveen Ambre
but I really want to know what is the rule? Why can't third umpire intervene?
As much
and that no ball fiasco broke the entire momentum for Robman Pal also. He was smashing them, and Obed McCoy was under tremendous pressure. Imagine if that would have been called a no ball. You would have had 3 more balls, 17
with a
4 balls. 4 balls, you would have had 17 runs to score.
And this reminds me not of 2019, but it reminds me of even the Nidahas Trophy thing, when there was another incident between Sri Lanka versus Bangladesh. I think there was something to do with the wide not been called when Isru Udana was
Bangladesh, Sri Lanka.
And everybody saying come off the field, and there was a threat that they would be sanctioned, and that was the time that Sri Lanka turned totally against Bangladesh. So. And on top of that, when that happened, after the match ended, Shakib broke the glass.
That I remember we discussed this also earlier, but now...
And they refused to fix the glass for the next game.
I just want to know, what is the rule? Why can't third umpire
intervene? So I tell you what
they used to intervene, right? At one point?
No. So the rule is, which is interesting, the rule is that the ground umpires have to go to the third umpire for a waist height no ball if they have a doubt, right? The ground umpire has to go to the third umpire, and then the third umpire intervenes. However, I think it's a valid point that if today, in day and age, when you made it a point that supposing the ground umpire misses the foot fault no ball, and then the third umpire on his own accord, without the ground umpire asking him, can point that no ball. The third umpire has the power now to tell you about the front foot.
All front foot no balls are now called by the third
umpire.
Correct,
that's what I'm saying. So when they have the power to do that, and chip in with their own suggestion, the question here is, why should the third umpire not now call, having looked at the replay, call the ground umpire and tell him that this is a no ball and give a no ball? That is what is not happening. But at the moment, the rule is fine. They followed the rule, as in the ground umpire didn't go to the third umpire.
But why didn't the ground umpire also?
That is the question.
That is the question. You know that you have made a fiasco. Why can't you just think about it?
I think they were convinced in their mind that it was not a no ball.
No, but that's stubborn.
No, but that's stupidity. How can an umpire, when there's such a big fiasco that the entire team is asking you to come off, why can't you go to the third umpire and ask him? Whether it's a no ball or not? Sometimes you go for height, right? Why can't you do it right now?
That's the thing.
Sheer stupidity.
The umpiring, as I said, in this IPL has been responsible for 2 things. One, the overrates have been shambolic. Number 1, the decision review system has been made to look like a farce. Even simple edges, simple plumb LBWs, all the umpires are getting it wrong. Either the pressure of the IPL is too much for umpiring, number 1, or 2, they have just lost the skill
also,
to officiate.
Nitin Menon is having an awful IPL.
He was the best Indian umpire for the longest time.
He was one in the elite list.
Yes, and we used to feel proud him having in the elite list, because his decisions used to be spot on. So he's having an horrible IPL too. His standards have really fallen. I'm going to take a few comments because a lot of people are talking about it. Ayaan Sharma is saying Pant is actually following Dhoni's footsteps.
Yes.
Quote unquote, you know what.
But Pant, if I may have to correct that, Pant didn't go that extra mile that Dhoni did.
He did.
Dhoni walked onto the field, Pant did not.
Pant did not.
Pant sent Amre.
Pant sent Amre, so he's equally guilty. Also, Pant was asking the players to come off.
Yeah,
so
but that's wrong. Irrespective of whatever the decision is,
you got away with it because of the weak-spined nature of the BCCI. He deserved a direct 4-match ban.
Agreed. That
because
is again.
You cannot bully the umpire. He's the official.
See, even though the umpire, as Manmeet Nibrak is pointing out, that he's saying Dhoni was right at that time. Also, umpire was wrong. So be it. But you still cannot walk into the field.
You can't. That's bullying.
And question. Absolutely. And those are basic things that when you play local cricket also that these are things. A previous game, I was given run out wrong.
Nikhil was so unhappy, but he had to walk off.
But I didn't fight with the umpire. I walked off.
There is an umpire on the field for decorum and authority. You have to respect that. If you do not respect that, it is just anarchy.
Correct. Then people will do anything. We agree that was a no ball, that the ground umpire should have referred it to the third umpire. At the moment, the third umpire doesn't have this jurisdiction to overrule the ground umpire and say himself, like he does for that front foot no ball. This actually should have come to the ground umpire. Stubborn of the ground umpire not to have gone there. If he had any doubt, I'm saying if you have a minor doubt, you can always check. There's nothing wrong. It can affect the game. As Siddhant pointed out, because one extra ball you would have got, so 4 balls plus 1 run would have been game on.
And also it broke the momentum, and then the bowler would have been under pressure. It would have changed the face of the game. Suddenly you would have been like, he's already hit 3 sixes, he has now got an extra ball and less than what he was supposed to score earlier. It would have put Owen McCoy under more pressure, and I think so Delhi could have won the game because of that.
So as the umpiring was wrong, so was the behavior of the Delhi.
I agree.
Suvra Ghosh is saying, not agreeing with you on all of this. Really poor umpiring, full support to Pant. Suvra, we are the first ones to have called that the umpiring wasn't great, but that does not justify the behavior of Pant. If you understand cricket, if you understand sport, you would understand that this kind of behavior is never accepted in sport. What does sport teach you? That you got to take the decision in your stride, right? You cannot be fighting over things which you think are wrong from outside the field. I have given you examples. Sunil Gavaskar's example, trying to take Chetan Chauhan with him, he also got a bad decision. He said because it was a bat that hit him and then hit the pad, it was a bad decision. Had he tried to take him out of the field, there would have been bigger repercussions. So you don't ever do that. Tell me one player, if you speak to any one big player, tell me one player who didn't get a bad decision at a crucial juncture of his career. You remember MS Dhoni, who's always been a model player, who's always played by the rules. Even when he came onto the field, he was criticized because that's not done. Even if you've got a bad decision, not done. Once the umpire has made the decision, albeit it's a wrong decision, end of the matter. Do you know, if today the players would have come off and not continued with the game, do you know how much flack this team would have got? Do you know how many sanctions would have been on this team financially, as well as maybe with regard to, for all you know, Pant would have been banned for 5 games. Is that sensible? So,
no, and
I don't agree with you.
It'll set a wrong precedent.
Every game it will start happening. Every time there's a bad decision.
But my problem also is
bad umpiring.
Why does the umpire have to be so stubborn? Just go to the
Agreed.
Go to the third umpire.
So you deal with the umpire now, is what I'm saying.
My entire point is the players get reprimanded. What for the umpires?
I'll give you another example. The Formula 1 season ended in a farce this time around. Everyone said that Lewis Hamilton was robbed of the title, right? But at that time, did he not come to the podium? He came, he congratulated Verstappen, said he's done. But they lodged their protest. They said we want this investigated post the race. That's what. Delhi is within their right to launch a protest, and there could be an inquiry by the IPL and they could look at it. But you cannot call your players back and not play. You cannot stop. Can't hold the game to ransom. That's wrong.
They should know a bit about umpiring blunders. You remember the DC versus PBKS match in 2020? Chris Jordan 1-run shot. There was such an uproar over that, but they carried on. They said that the umpiring was bad. And let me digress the sport. Football, UEFA Champions League, Chelsea versus Barcelona. That Norwegian referee, he missed 4-5 outright penalties. And he got abused. Drogba, infamous.
But the players didn't come off the field.
They didn't come off the field.
Dagnik Ghosh is saying when Arjuna Ranatanga did the same thing, people supported him. Then why are you people criticizing Pant? Sagni, firstly, let me tell you, forget what we are saying. Rishabh Pant himself has come after the game and said himself that it was wrong to have sent someone like Praveen Ambre onto the field. He's also said that the decision was wrong and it was a no ball, which we also agree. It should have been consulted, it should have gone to the third umpire, the umpires on the field shouldn't have been stubborn, all of that is agreed. But now better senses prevailed in Rishabh Pant also. In the heat of the moment he was going to do something very drastic. Thankfully he didn't come onto the field. Thankfully the game didn't stop where the players had come, so he has also accepted it was wrong. We spoke about Arjuna Ranatunga. That had to do a lot with a racial issue. They felt that they were discriminated against them. So you need to do a bit of research on that. That wasn't just about him, a wrong decision being taken. There were also a lot of catcalls by the supporter. If you remember, you have to see the entire thing in the context of what was happening. So it wasn't just a simple wrong cricketing decision that was taken. So keep that in mind. This is very different.
For 3 years, Murli was been targeted viciously by the Australians.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. So it had a lot of background to it. Shivam Johar has an interesting one. He's saying the 2 reviews provided to teams should be applicable to all decisions like wide, no ball, etc. That brings a massive change in cricket. Shivam Johar, I agree.
That could be
why shouldn't there? Very good suggestion. I'm saying if I have 2 reviews left, I'll take that as a review. I should be allowed to take that as
Delhi
a
had reviews.
Very good suggestion.
2 reviews they had. Yep.
They had 2 reviews. I am saying that at that situation, agreed that the umpire, firstly, it was wrong of the umpire not to be stubborn. He should have gone. But provided he is not listening, then you should say, okay.
No, the funny thing is, if Roman Pal would have hit that delivery and would have gone up in the air and somebody would have caught it, I am sure they would have checked for the no ball.
Yes, they would have.
They would have surely checked it for the no ball. It's just stupid. Why not do it when it's gone for a 6 also? It changes the outcome of a game in such a big way. Very stupid of the on-field umpires to not go to the third umpire irrespective of.
You are asking me when was the last time there was a good decision in the IPL as far as umpiring is concerned? IPL 2013. CSK versus RCB.
2013 you have gone back to.
Yes, I can't think of
He's silly, na?
2013.
Because remember, 2 runs were needed of 1 ball. Jadeja hold out to third man.
Yeah.
Anil Chaudhary, the umpire, signaled it a no ball. At the heat of the moment, he could have let it go. But then replay showed it was a no ball, big no ball.